There are over 1 billion dogs on Earth, thousands of breeds, millions of faces, and somehow, you picked that one. Not because of its breed, not because of its personality, not even because of the moment you met it. Long before you touched the leash, your brain had already made the decision. Because hidden inside every human is a bias so powerful, it can influence who we trust, who we love, and even which dog we bring home. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it.
Your brain picked your dog. Researchers once showed people a photograph of a stranger's face. Then they showed them 2 versions of that face, side by side. Identical in almost every way. Same person, same lighting, same expression. Except one version had been digitally altered, subtly shifted, 22% of the way, toward the viewer's own face. 22%. Invisible, undetectable to the conscious eye. Every single participant rated the altered face as more attractive. Not slightly more, significantly more. A face they had never met shifted 22% toward their own reflection, and their brain called it beautiful without knowing why. Now think about your dog. Think about the moment you chose it. You thought you were choosing based on energy, or size, or breed, or the way it ran to the front of the kennel. You thought you were making a conscious decision. You weren't. The same force that made a stranger's face beautiful was already running, already deciding, already done before you reached for the leash. Your dog looks like you, and you chose it that way, and you had absolutely no idea you were doing it. Here's how. In 2004, psychologists at UC San Diego ran a simple experiment. They photographed dogs and owners separately. No context, no names. Then handed those photos to strangers and asked them to match the pairs. Strangers matched purebred dogs to their owners at rates well above chance. For mixed breeds, they couldn't do it. That gap is the entire story. Purebred dogs have predictable adult faces. You know before you bring one home exactly what it will look like. The proportions, the eye shape, the ear size, the coat, fixed and knowable in advance. Mixed breed puppies are a mystery. The face at 8 weeks tells you almost nothing about the face at 3 years. You're choosing blind. People are walking into shelters, scanning a row of dogs, and stopping in front of the one that echoes something in their own face. Something they are not aware they are reading. What is doing the reading? In 1968, a psychologist named Robert Zionk published a finding that the field initially resisted and eventually could not argue with. Familiarity on its own generates preference, not because the familiar thing is better, not because you've learned more about it, simply because you've seen it before. The brain registers the familiar as safe, and safe, below the level of conscious thought, becomes good, becomes wanted. He called it the mere exposure effect, and it operates on everything: shapes, music, words, faces. Now, there is one face you have seen more than any other face in your life. Your own. Every morning. Every phone screen before it wakes up. Every shop window. Every photograph. You have logged more hours with your own face than with any other face that has ever existed. And Zajonk's finding says that means your brain has built a deep, automatic, wordless preference for faces that resemble it. Not a preference you decided on. Not one you could name. One that lives below language. One that fires the moment you look at a face, any face, human or animal, and find something in it that feels like the mirror. That is what fired when you walked into the shelter. That is what stopped you in front of that specific dog. Your brain didn't find a dog it liked. It found a dog that felt familiar. And after a lifetime of looking at your own face, familiar only means one thing. It looked like you. Researchers looked closer. Because familiarity preference is the engine. But what is the brain actually scanning when it runs the match? What features? The answer is specific. Eyes. The eye region drives the match. Not overall face shape, not the nose or mouth. The eyes. Their size relative to the face. The lid shape. How deep or forward they sit. The weight of the brow above them. This makes sense. The eye region is the most informationally dense part of any face. It's where humans read emotion, intention, and trust. It's the part of a face the brain is most precisely calibrated to analyze. And across dog breeds, it varies more than almost any other feature. The brain goes to the region it knows best and finds the version that feels most like home. But researchers found something that goes further. People with long hair were more likely to own dogs with long, floppy ears. People who wore glasses chose breeds with face shapes that mirror the visual weight of frames. Heavier-set owners chose heavier-set dogs. The brain wasn't just matching bone structure. It was matching the whole presented self. The self-image being compared against wasn't just the face in the mirror. It was every layer of how you see yourself. Your dog doesn't look like your face. Your dog looks like how you see yourself. And that opens the question nobody thinks to ask. If this force is running on dog selection, what else is it running on? This is where it stops being about dogs. The 22% study from the opening, the morphed face, the undetectable shift, the brain calling a stranger beautiful, wasn't a dog study. That was a human attraction study. The same force, running on a different target. Research on long-term couples has found that pairs who have been together for 25 years show measurable facial convergence. They start to look more alike over time. Shared expressions, shared muscle patterns. Years of mirroring each other's faces, building genuine structural similarity. But the mere exposure effect operates at the front end too. Before convergence, at selection. The faces people are drawn to, when researchers control for everything else, trend subtly toward their own. Same eye spacing, similar jaw proportions, comparable facial width to height ratio. 22% of the way toward the mirror, and the brain calls it right. Not always. Not absolutely. People deviate. Circumstance and history and personality override it constantly. But the nudge is there. Quiet. Consistent. Running below every choice you thought you were making freely. The dog on your couch and the person across the table and the face in your mirror are all threaded together by a single mechanism your brain has been running since before you could form a memory. You have been choosing the familiar your entire life. And the familiar, for every one of us, starts in the same place. Here's the last layer, because the story doesn't end at the shelter. After the dog comes home, something else starts. Running in the opposite direction. Dogs are the most socially attuned, non-human animals on Earth. 15,000 years of coevolution with humans, possibly more, has built them into extraordinarily precise readers of human faces. They track the muscles around your eyes specifically. They catch micro-expressions. They read your emotional state before you've consciously registered it yourself. And they mirror. Dogs exposed to calm owners become calmer over time. Dogs living with anxious owners show elevated cortisol in their blood work. The owner's emotional baseline writes itself into the dog's biology across months and years of proximity. But the mirroring runs both ways. An owner who spends years reading a dog's face, learning its particular expressions, the specific arrangement of features that means content, or uneasy, or watching, begins to carry those expressions. The face moves toward what it has spent years looking at. So there are two forces operating in sequence. The mere exposure effect selects for resemblance at adoption. Then years of shared life deepen it through a completely different mechanism. By the time someone at a park tells you that you and your dog look alike, they are not wrong in any single way. They are right in every way at once. So the next time someone says it, "You two look alike," don't laugh it off. What they're seeing is the record of a decision your brain made before you knew you were deciding. A preference assembled from 10,000 mornings in front of a mirror, shaped by a force that has been running in humans long before anyone thought to name it, nudging every choice quietly in the direction of the face it already knows. You didn't just find a dog you liked. Your brain found the face that felt most like coming home, and it found it looking back at you through the bars of a kennel, waiting